Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. We're looking at another deck this week that I was trying early on to learn the format on my own. This was before I looked up any content. I was not super familiar with the format other than just getting out there and playing games. And so I was just, looking up deck lists and saying that looks cool and trying stuff out, trying different things out. So that's what a lot of these videos have been recently, is just me experimenting and testing and, fumbling around in the early days of trying to learn the pre-modern format and trying to understand, what cards and decks were good. And I just tried to intentionally avoid any type of content from other folks because I wanted to kind of explore the format on my own and learn my own things at first, which I will say it was some hard lessons along the way for sure. So anyway, that brings us to our deck for today, which is a Naya mid-range deck, and it's got a little bit of, it's sprinkled in with different things here and there. Like it's got the green-white base and a red splash, but it's not, full-on Terrageddon or anything like that. But it's got some elements of that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting kind of middling way about that. And so it was just one of those decks that just kind of looked interesting that I wanted to try out. So I'm going to run through the practice test games that I played in the tournament practice area on MTGO. And we'll just go through those together and see how those games go. These pre-modern test videos that I've made, again, these are games that I've played already, so I'll be using the MTGO replay mechanism, and they're going to be compressed games that are going to go very fast. I'll do my best to narrate. It's been a while since I've played these games, but I think I remember enough about the matchups that I can at least comment on it somewhat. So this is the deck list here. We have 21 lands. Again, we're sporting 3 colors here. So we do have a full complement of 8 fetch lands to pick out all the basics that we need. So we have 5 forests, a singleton mountain, a singleton plains. So we're able to get those with these fetch lands. We should be able to get all of our basics to hit our colors. The other way that we can hit our colors, obviously, is by using Mox Diamonds for early ramp and to fill that rest of that color pie wedge of the wheel, if you will. And then in addition to that, we do have some dual lands. We got a couple brush lands for green-white, a couple Karplusan forests, and that's pretty much it on the multicolored lands. We're just kind of relying on the fetch lands to get the basics we need, and then we have, like I said, a couple lands that'll produce more than one color, and then we have a couple treetop villages also, just to give us some variety on the attack axis. So 2 of those, 21 lands total, 4 Mox Diamonds. Now, right off the bat, one thing I notice, of course, is that because I have played a little bit of Oath Panza and Terrageddon, which those are decks I enjoy playing. And I'm still learning those decks. I haven't really, done the play 100 games of them yet, but I've test drove them a little bit. And those decks have, 26 to 28 lands with the Mox Diamonds, and they're using Terravores, which, they get bigger with more lands in the graveyard. So it's interesting that this has only 21 lands with the Mox Diamonds. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in the games. And like I said, it's been a while since I've played the games, so I don't remember everything that happened. But, we'll experiment together and see how that all plays out with those. So that's 25 cards, almost half the deck. Our 1-drop slot, we do have, because we're in the Naya color space, we get access to pretty much the best spot removal that Premodern has to offer. We have 4 copies of Swords to Plowshares, 4 copies of Lightning Bolt. Then we have our ramp elements here with 3 Llanowar Elves and 4 Birds of Paradise. So early game, we have stuff to do on turn 1. And, with a Mox Diamond, we can power some stuff out early in the game. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here. Maybe jump the curve a little bit to get to our top end, the 4 drops. In the 2-drop slot, as I mentioned, this deck has kind of different elements of different things kind of sprinkled in, and that might be a little bit of its weakness, is that it's not really heavy or strong in any one way. So it's got a light prison touch. There's 2 winter orbs. They, in the right situation, they can come down and lock the opponent's lands down when you already are ahead on board with creatures, and you can win faster that way. So that's one thing it provides. That's probably why there's only 2 of them. It's not like a dedicated strategy, but it's just a piece that can come down and help win the game. I've seen a few things like Winter Orbs and Tangle Wires in some aggro decks where, when they're kind of going wide with creatures, and they can use those to tap stuff down and keep attacking. So just kind of a light splash of that. In addition to that, there's also 2 Armageddons. So again, kind of a light splash of the mana denial, but not going all in on it. So it'll be interesting to see how those elements play out in the games. 2 copies of Naturalize in the main. There's 2 more in the sideboard to get the full complement of 4. That seems pretty reasonable in Premodern, where there's lots of enchantments and artifacts out there. So having them in the main deck, I don't have any problem with that. Next, we do have 4 copies of Call of the Herd, one of the best creatures. It's actually sorcery, but produces 2 creatures over 7 mana throughout the game. But yeah, just one of the best cards to have for good beefy bodies on the field to get some damage in, or good blockers if necessary. So we got 4 copies of that. Then in our top end, we're mostly sporting the beasts, if you will. So our Ravenous Baloths and Blastoderms. Those are our top end heavy hitters that we want to get down on the battlefield earlier with our ramp elements to try to start clocking the opponent, as fast as we can, hitting them for 4 or 5 in the case of Blastoderm. And so the other thing that these cards do well together is the Ravenous Baloth, of course, can sacrifice a beast to gain 4 life, which in most cases it's sacrificing itself, if it's getting targeted with removal or something, and can gain the 4 life. But the Blastoderm, given that it's got fading, it's not around forever. So you can actually, if you have the Ravenous Baloth in play and the Blastoderm, let's say it's on its last fading counter, it's about to go away, you can sacrifice it to the Ravenous Baloth, even though the Blastoderm has Shroud. So it can't be the target of spells or abilities, but Ravenous Baloth does not target. It just says sacrifice a beast. So it kind of gets around that clause. Just something to remember if it comes up. And then finally, we have a couple copies of Flametongue Kavu. Super cool card. Only 2 of them, because I've played with these before. They're terrible if they're in your hand and it's the only creature you got, and you don't have everything to hit with that 4 damage. But boy, if it comes down at the right time to knock out a creature, it's great. So just 2 copies of that. So that's the main deck, and again, that's the top end at 4. Sideboard-wise, we have got a couple Tormod's Crypts for graveyard interaction, 1 Phyrexian Furnace, so it's kind of three spots for that. There's 3 copies of Hidden Gibbons, where we can make a 4/4 if an opponent casts an instant. So just that's a very specific matchup thing to bring in. 3 copies of Red Elemental Blast for the blue matchups, and then on this end here, we do have some sweeping ability with 2 Pyroclasms. Generally, we're going to have creatures bigger than the Pyroclasm. It might hit a bird or an elf, but in general, we're hoping that the Pyroclasms and the one of Simoon will be enough to sweep away the opponent's creatures, and Simoon hits opponent creature only. So, and then finally, those 2 copies of Naturalize to give the full complement of 4, and 1 copy of Tranquil Domain to destroy all the enchantments on the field. And that's our Naya mid-range deck that we're testing, running through these games that have already been played. And so hope you guys enjoy. Let's jump into the first match. Okay, first match. We're on the play, get our birds down, playing against blue with black Vice. Now, I'm sure when I played this match, I probably didn't know what was going on, but now that I've played a lot of pre-modern games, I can tell right away that it's stasis, most likely. So we're trying to get in with an early beat there. They tap down the Treetop Village. the Black Vice is actually doing some damage because it's great to play on the first turn of the game. So we get in the treetop this time, get some damage down, play the Birds of Paradise. So we're curving out pretty good. Well, they have a great draw there with a fire. It's worked out pretty good. Still able to get in for 3. And I think I chose to attack with the creature instead of tapping out for the Ravenous Baloth because of counter magic. They had 2 blue up, so usually my game plan is to keep attacking with manlands against control decks in general, because paying 4 for Baloth and having them pay 2 for counterspell feels kind of bad. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's the Stasis. We have the Naturalize, and even though they have 2 blue up, I think we have to try to... Yeah, see, it's tricky when to do that. I could have held it up longer, you know, I don't know, but it's never an easy thing. For example, even if we didn't fire it off there, they would still have those 2 islands up right now. We're just waiting for us to cast a spell. I would imagine, I've never played Stasis, but I would imagine that you probably don't deploy the Stasis until you can protect it, is my guess. So, yeah, we're in Stasis, you know, purgatory here. And, you know, it's... I mean, if we could maybe get 1 more green source and put down a Blastoderm, if that would resolve, that might be helpful. Opponent's at 11. Not going to take much to put them away, but we're kind of under the lock here. And yeah, so we just got to go to the next game there. I know that these are compressed games and I'm not showing sideboard, but I'm sure that I probably brought in those additional naturalizes and the destroy all enchantments spell as well. I would assume that's probably what I did. There's a naturalize right there. And so we're actually going to, you know, we're going to hold on to that. Now we can't just not do anything, so we are going to deploy the Call of the Herd because we do need to get a clock down. And they have to take a little time to set up the stasis anyway. It's not like they can just put it down in turn 2 or whatever. So, getting in for 3, flashing back the Call of the Herd. They counterspell that. And with an Arcane Denial, so we do draw the cards. We have our Tranquil Domain. It's good to see that. So we do have tools to fight against the stasis. Deploying a beater, maybe deploying the birds there may not have been the best idea, because if they drop the stasis this turn, we wouldn't be able to have any mana to, you know, be able to draw land and have naturalize up. But in this case, we do have a red blast, which is kind of nice. We can potentially counter a stasis or kill it once it hits the battlefield. So we're just kind of keeping our mana up, not playing anything else. We've got a bunch of reactive magic going on. Opponent's down to 9. Keeping the beats going. And we get iced, and we red blast the ice because it's important to fight over. But they had the counter spell, unfortunately, so playing another creature out, but trying to be a little careful about the mana. Opponent's tapping out for something big. So yeah, I've noticed that some of the stasis lists have the upheaval and then Black Vice. I mean, I gotta admit, that's pretty good. Like, yeah, that's a bunch of damage from Black Vice, and you got to discard a bunch of cards. It's too bad that we got hit with that, but it's, you know, I mean, it reset the game. I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, we kind of had an angle there, but so yeah, we're having to actually naturalize that Black Vice with 4 life left. Didn't feel very good, but it's just something had to be done. There's the stasis with the Forsaken City. We got an 0-1 looking to just play land Blastoderm. That's about all we got right now. And we're paying too many. Oh, attempting to kill the stasis. Yeah. I mean, you got to pick your spots. Opponent gushes in response. Impulses. And naturalized resolves. That's great. I mean, you just got to take a chance sometimes and pick your spots. We do get a Blastoderm on the battlefield. Opponent's at 6. We need to hit him a couple times. They have another stasis. Okay. Well, we do have Naturalize and Tranquil Domain. We got lands, so we can try to hit the stasis, especially with one island in play. So we're going to go ahead and take the chance now. The only thing that they could have would be Chain of Vapor. And yeah, of course, they've got it. So, yep, feels pretty bad. So we do have one last shot with the Tranquil Domain. There's our second land. Our creatures remain tapped. Super annoying. Blastoderm just wasting away. When it's gushing, replaying a land. Blastoderm is at the end of its life. And yeah, they just fire us on a fetch land activation. What a way to die. All right, so match 2. Start on Treetop Village, tapped. Opponent's got a Cursed Scroll. We get a Mox Diamond out. We got 3 mana on turn 2. Drop the Call of the Herd. Get the beats going. Opponent's got a Ravenous Rats. Oh my god. Opponent's got a Furnace. They're drawing a card. Duressing us. We naturalize the Curse Scroll and Plowshare to blank their duress. Plowshare the rat, so. Alright, well, we got an elephant, and probably should have attacked with the Treetop Village there, since we can't play the Kavu. So that was a mistake. Fun times. This was when I was first playing Premodern. So, like I said, there's going to be some rough spots. I was learning the format. No real excuse, but that's just what it is. All right, so we got there with that game. They scooped. They had nothing going on. Okay, so game 2. We got a mulligan down. Opponent's got a Mishra's Factory on the Curse Scroll. We put out a first turn Elf and got 3 mana. So turn 2 Ravenous Baloth seems good. We're dodging the rack with the early cards. So yeah, it's a good start. Opponent's got a Therapy. They name swords to Plowshares. They sack the Mishra's Factor to get the other Baloth. So we got 1 Baloth. Rack's doing nothing. Pick up a Bolt. Fire up that Treetop Village this time and get in there. Opponent's at 12. They got another Factory. Oh, they're able to activate the Curse Scroll now. They kill the Elf. We're going to keep on bringing the beats. Opponent's down to 5. They have a rat. We drop the Herd, so we can replay that out of the graveyard. And, ooh, Pyroclasm. That's nice to see. Well, okay, so I think... Yeah, I think we probably should have Pyroclasm there, but I guess the Mishra's Factory was also... Yeah, we got there, though. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm narrating these later, so it's there is a time gap between when I played these games. And I got them sped up because it's just tournament practice, and this is more about just kind of showing some deck lists that I was able to find out there on the internet, and interesting stuff that I played early on to try to learn the format. Playing up against elves. Got a big old Blastoderm. And they got a bunch of chump blockers. Tribal Force Mage pumps up the team. And yeah. I don't know if they didn't attack there or something. Not sure. And we have no qualms about not attack. We're going to attack, so. Opponent blocks and returns the elf to the owner's hand with the Wirewood Symbiote. Doing some trickery. Got another Tribal Force Mage. We're going to bolt in response. They untap. Bunch of stuff happened there. We were just trying to get rid of the Priest of Titania. We got another Tribal Force Mage. Pumping up the team again. Yeah, some elven trickery there. Against the noobs. Bird's Paradise. Didn't want to play out the Mox Diamond. Didn't feel that was necessary. We bolt the Quirion Ranger. I mean, every one of their creatures kind of feels like a must kill. Get the Titania Priest out of there. We got some Armageddons lined up if we can ever get to that point. Opponent's got a Yavimaya Granger. Flametime Kavu looks good, but we got a bunch of good 4-mana spells and nothing to show for it. Opponent's doing elven things. Gets in there for 2. We got a Furnace. It's kind of sad. We just crack it right away to draw a card. Got to get that mana. Hopefully it's not going to be too late. Opponent pays the Echo for the Multani. They have a Gaia's Cradle and a Survival of the Fittest, and that's going to be game over. Yeah. Just, yep. Great. Awesome. Fun stuff. And for some reason I'm not scooping yet. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. I don't know if maybe I was looking for a Pyroclasm there or something. I don't know. All right, well, the next match, and this would be match 4 for this run. Going up against goblins here. Opponent's got a Pile Driver. And a War Chief. We've got the Plowshare for the War Chief. Pile Driver gets in there. Okay. Looking for that 4th mana. Able to bolt away the Pile Driver. And unfortunately, I mean, we're lucky that we're not getting our faces smashed in right now. We were able to stave off the early. They just won't stop at the Wastelands, though. Golly. They're keeping us really trimmed. This 2-mana stuff's crimping our style, for sure. Wastelands were pretty painful. And we still can't find a land. Good Lord. They got a Lackey. Oh, that's just so sad. Well, at least they didn't have anything. Bird's Paradise, not long for this world, I'm sure. Yeah, it's dead. Yeah, we just can't get any mana. When's the Goblins the mana denial deck? My gosh. Siege Commander. Yeah, there's the Siege Gang. Full price Siege Gang Commander. We got an Elephant. They quickly kill that. And we're just in a world of pain. I could tell in these early matchups I didn't want to give up. I tried my best to see if there was a way out of games, but like this was over. Yeah, this is done for. I'm not even sure why I'm still playing. Okay, got to go down to 6. Got a Mox Diamond and nothing to do with it. See the Fanatic. Got an Elf and a Bolt. Not great. Did waste away our land. This one's got 6 cards in hand. We do get an elephant. That does help. Another Fanatic. Blastoderm could be good. Let's hope we can get the land for that. Goblin Matron. Goes to get a War Chief. So they can get the gang going. Draw a Lightning Bolt. Not the worst thing to see. Get in there with the 3/3. We'll probably save these bolts to see what, maybe, you know, like if they play this War Chief. Yeah. We gotta kill that because it makes the goblins cheaper and gotta get it out of there. And put them down to 10. Holding up a bolt, but we get the Blastoderm mana, so get that down. We got to call the herd in the graveyard. Opponent's got a ringleader. They go find some stuff. We're just going in there. They block one thing. Go to 7. Call the herd out of the graveyard. They Gem Palm Incinerator. Ooh, man, both elephants. Ouch. And get a Tinkerer down. Opponent fights back. They're able to block our 5/5. Furnace not doing much. Probably need to draw a card off that. Ooh, Siege Gang Commander. Wasteland. Down to 8. Furnace to draw a card. Gonna call her. Ooh, Pyroclasm, baby. Now we're talking. Nothing like a good Pyroclasm against the elves. Smack them for 5 with the Blastoderm's last breath there. Opponent starts rebuilding with Goblin Matron. Gets a ringleader. He comes down. Gets more stuff. Gets in for 2. 6-2. We've got this bolt, so yeah, that's good enough to get there. Alright, so game 3 of this match. This will be our 4th match. Fanatic pings the elf. They've got a pile driver. We could play a couple birds. Palm Incinerator kills one of them. Gets in with the 1/2. Windswept Heath. Not able to get a mountain, unfortunately, but we do have the Birds of Paradise. Go ahead and play the Famed Cavu. It's really good here. Just whenever you can play it and kill a creature, it's worth it. So even though it just kills a 1/2, it's great. Opponent, yeah. Playing goblins, we bolt 1. The War Chief. Got this Simoon lined up. And a Pyroclasm, so we've got our panic buttons ready. Ooh, an Armageddon too. That might actually... Okay, so we let that happen. Interesting. Goblin Sharpshooter. I don't know if it might have been better to play that differently there. I'm not sure. Simoon kills that creature. Goblin Matron. They just don't ever stop. Gets the Siege Gang Commander. We got nothing except for a Pyroclasm, a very, very good Pyroclasm. So it's, and I don't know why I didn't block there, but I guess I needed at least one bird for the red mana. That's right. Yeah, of course. Okay. Just Armageddon. Let's just start over, you know? I don't know. There may have been a line where I could have preserved the 4/2 creature in Armageddon. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that a little closer. But like I said, I was just kind of exploring the format, learning, testing. That's really all these videos are about that I've been doing lately. Okay, so it's a completely new world. It's a post-Armageddon world. We're both rebuilding. Opponent's got a couple Mog Fanatics. We got a Windswept Heath. Go get a forest. Find a treetop village. So we got something going on, but we're behind though. Opponent finds their third land. That's kind of scary. They got nothing though. We've got a Mox Diamond to get some red mana, or draw a land to be able to play our Mox Diamond that we had. Play our Elephant token. They can't attack. Ooh, now we can play the Blastoderm. Yeah. Fetch up. Hopefully we have a mountain still. Yep. That's perfect. Okay, hopefully this 5/5 is going to be enough to get us there. We'll see. Opponent's got a Ringleader to refuel. Blastoderm fearlessly charges in with the Elephant. Opponent's got a block, takes 3. We go ahead and flash back our Call of the Herd. Opponent's got 6 cards in hand and 4 lands, so there's a Lackey and a Matron. Grabs a Goblin Lackey. Well, I guess we were just able to have just enough to overpower them after the Armageddon, so it was kind of close, but we had the beefy bodies compared to their 1/1s and 2/2s that they had, so they must have not had another Siege Gang Commander. They went and got a Goblin Lackey, unless that was a mistake. I'm not really sure. They scooped, so. Okay, so final match for these games. It's like we're playing against the Rock, maybe. Opponents maybe mono green even. Kind of a standoff there. There's the black mana, so we trade Baloths. Opponent's got a Genesis. Okay. We have a Plowshare for the Genesis. Perfect remedy for that. Ooh, the Pernicious Deed. Okay. We go ahead and fire up the village. Probably not the right move, though. We got nothing but lands, and we're behind. Got an elf. Yeah, there's no way we're winning this game. Yeah, Blastoderm's not the worst thing to see. But it doesn't advance our game plan either. So, ooh, the Plowshare might be good, but we don't have any white mana. So there's that. It's too bad that I couldn't attack with the Blastoderm because I'm at 5 life. Putting this bird down to see if we can maybe have it live to next turn to Plowshare or something. They got another Pernicious Deed. That's not going to bode well for us. We do get a Kavu. That's helpful. Opponent cracks their Yavimaya Elder to draw a card and get 2 lands. They've got a Crozen Tusker. Man, we do have the Plowshare for that. We're just trying to hang in there, being at 5 life. Opponent's at 30. Trying to figure out the mana. And yeah, I was going to say it's time for Armageddon. They do the Pernicious Deed in response. for 3, so we should have a creature left. Oh, no, they can do it for 4 because of the wall of roots. Yep. We bolt them. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we didn't have anything else we could do there, and now we got to rebuild, and the advantage is heavily in their favor, just because of the life difference, if for no other reason. Do find a second land before they do, which is good. They get a Wall of Blossoms, that's great. We get a Call the Herd, that's actually really good, but doesn't line up real well against the 0-4 wall. Yeah, well, we're going to see if they're going to block. And get the Call the Herd back out of the graveyard. And so we got 2 3/3s. Hopefully we can start getting through. Opponent cycles a Tusker. Gets a Swamp, Diabolic Edict, and we're back in the same boat. Oh my god, Haunting Echoes. Yeah, we just scooped it up there. There's no point. I can't remember if we let them do it or just scooped. It looked like our graveyard got smaller, so they probably began the process of completely dismantling our entire deck. So, all right. Well, see, in this particular deck, the Mox Diamonds are not very explosive. I mean, we've had them on the first turn a couple times and not done anything with it. Like right there, it's wasted. And opponents just got all the mana they need. They get a 4/4 before we do. They're just hitting their land drops. We're still kind of struggling. Also, another thing to note here is the fact that we have 3 colors and they have 2 colors. And like we don't have white for Swords to Plowshares, for example. These things matter. they do make a difference. Looks like a Nantuko Vigilante. Blastoderm. Going to attack. Yavimaya Elder. Great blocker. Block and sack. Couldn't be better. Play another Blastoderm. Leaving up the Swords to Plowshares. They have a Duress. We crack to go get our Singleton Plains and Swords to Baloth. They sack it for 4 life. They see our Naturalize. And we got 2 5/5s. Opponent blocks. Oh wow, it's not an Nantuko Vigilante, it's a Silent Spectre. Yikes, okay. Yeah, we have to discard that. And the biggest problem here is that the Spectre is a flying creature. We're able to get him down to 11 with the Blastoderms. One of them's going to go away though. We take 6, have to discard, and if we can't stop this flying creature, oh my gosh. So what happened there at the end was, yes, we were live to 1 draw to try to hit something to kill the flying creature. The other one might have been also another Silent Spectre, I don't know. But I think I was also just frustrated with seeing the Haunting Echoes again. Yeah, I just didn't want to go. So, yeah, anyway. It's a practice game. So let's get to the wrap up here. Okay, so wrapping up our Naya mid-range test. Like I've said before, I've got a lot of decks that I've played when I was first learning the format. I guess maybe in some ways I took not really an orthodox route. Like if you were playing Premodern and paper, learning the format, you would probably have like 1 deck and play it, burn or something like that, and play it and see all the other decks and play a lot with 1 deck. Since this is all online, and I joined the fray after I think Premodern was on the contraption thing first, and until it got its own piece of MTGO. So because of that, and because I have access to a lot of decks through the rental service, I've been learning the format by playing a whole bunch of different decks. And like I said, I don't necessarily recommend that because for me it's been a lot of information, kind kind of taxing my brain a little bit. Learning things the hard way, making mistakes, not understanding what certain things do. Some of the games I played will never be on recordings because I played them and then that was it. I think the MTGO replay mechanism thing was broken for a while anyway. But yeah, so anyway, for this deck here, I would be interested to see other builds of something like this because I think it has potential, but I'm not really sure what it's missing. Like, the Armageddons are really strong in like the Terrageddon deck, right? So part of me feels like if we're playing Armageddons, why are we not playing Terravor? Like, why are we playing the Blastoderms and Ravenous Baloths and Call of the Herds? Those are strong cards, but it just feels like with Armageddon you want to play the Terravor, and which that would turn it into a Terrageddon deck. So it is doing something different. There's also the angle that perhaps, well, I was going to say perhaps this was a paper deck, and it may well have been, but they still do have the Mox Diamonds, which, we all know how expensive those things are. So I don't really have an answer for that, because, again, I was not able to trace down where I got this deck from on the MTG Decks site, somewhere out there. But in any case, it was still interesting to play. I did feel like it's not very strong. It's not something that I would look to play a lot or want to learn and master this type of deck. I would rather spend my time mastering Terrageddon, which is something I will be working on. I've played it a couple times, but it's a deck I'm very interested in mastering and getting a lot better at. But it's still in the early stages, and I'm also working on some other things. But for these decks here on this whole test series of Premodern tournament practice, this one was fun to play. But like I said, it just felt underpowered in a lot of the games. Some of the matches we had just didn't line up, and we did have some early Mox Diamonds, first turn. And for 2 mana, there's nothing we can do. And we play a Winter Orb, and that's not very good. And, certainly not on the first turn, a Naturalize. So it's just kind of a little wonky, I think. So it's got a little bit of the good stuff, but the mishmash of everything doesn't seem to gel or work well. So I was not super enthralled with this deck, but I was glad I played it. Every game I play on Premodern is more data, it's more experience, it's more cards, interactions, all that stuff. So it's certainly worth it to play these decks. But like I said, this is not something I don't think I'll revisit this archetype. I mean, maybe someday, but not anytime soon. Just wasn't my thing. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. Like I said, there were some fun moments that we had in there, but it just didn't feel like it was strong enough to really stand up to certain decks that wanted to do things that we couldn't stop, like Stasis, and we just got ran over by the Rock deck at the end there, and kind of struggled here and there. But we had some good moments, so it was fun to play. But again, this was just a testing and exploring and learning back when I was first kind of trying to figure the format out. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. I certainly enjoyed playing it, even though it's not really my thing, but it's still a part of the whole learning experience. So, well, with that being said, I think that's about it for this particular deck, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot.